So today's moment is a story time. I'm sure there will be many story times to come. Oh man, so I was just sitting here chuckling thinking about this. I'm like, let me just record it and tell them about it because this shit is hilarious. So when I was 20, I left the country for the first time. I went to study abroad in Paris for a semester. It was dope. It was very challenging. I had never left the country before. I never had a passport before this. And I particularly chose my college, Goucher College, because it was the first college in the States to require study abroad as a graduation requirement. And so I double majored in economics and French, and econ had no specific requirement for where I went, but for my French degree, I had to go to a French speaking country for a semester. So obviously, I chose Paris. And while I was there, I had a few classes. One of the classes I had, by the way, was a phonetics class. If you are ever learning a new language, to this day, I credit that class and living in Paris, like being new to the game, living in Paris, but that class changed the game for my accent. And I definitely still have work to do in regards to my French accent, but for the most part, I get complimented all the time by native French speakers, and it is because of that class. I wish I could find that woman and shout her out. But yeah, if you're learning a new language, see if you can find a phonetics class. She taught us like just the tips and tricks for how to fluently speak like a proper, quote unquote, proper French speaker. But anyway, so I had a few classes, I had an internship, and that was it. Yeah, a few classes and an internship. My internship was at an organization in the 18th called Uraka, and it was an organization that helped Africans who were new to France get settled, get housing, all that great stuff. And a lot of I don't know why, considering the people were coming usually from countries that were colonized by France, but a few of them only spoke English. And so I would be like a liaison, and I would call places and get them housing and all this great stuff. It was a vibe. It was so dope. I would spend Saturdays with them. We would have family meals. There was this little boy that I loved so much. Fofana was the director. He like held me down. I had no money. When I tell you I had no money, I had no fucking money. I walked everywhere because then I couldn't afford a Navigo, the Metro Pass. It was like $150. The exchange rate at the time was wild. So I just walked for hours per day to get to class, to get to my internship. Yeah, so when I tell you I'm a hustler, I hustle. Like, I made that shit work. I think I lost like 20 pounds in a month. But anyway, so at this organization, there was another volunteer, and he was in law school. So he was probably like 25, 26. I think he was Cameroonian. And he was cute, attractive man, tall, chocolate, just how I like him, bright white teeth, you know the vibes. And mind you, again, I'm 20 at the time, he's 26. And one day he asked me, he has to take me out. And so I'm like, okay, well, what does he mean by this? I don't know. But basically I like clarified, I'm like, is this a date? Which I think was appropriate. Looking back, I'm not sure, honestly, about 26 and 20, because a 26-year-old man, for me, in theory, should, quote unquote, should not be on the same mental level as a 20-year-old, but I don't know. It can work, I guess. So I'm not necessarily turned off by that part, but there are other reasons why I'm turned off, let me tell you. So he asked me out, and he's like, do you want to go get a drink on the Champs-Élysées? What? I would get hyped if a man asked me that now. I'm 20. So I'm like, what, we're gonna go get drinks on the Champs-Élysées? And I'm 20 years old and I'm in Paris by myself? What? So I meet up with him one night on the Champs-Élysées. I get off at that metro stop. I'm in a vibe. This is like peak romanticizing my life. Like, I'm about to go on a date on the Champs-Élysées and get a drink, right? This motherfucker takes me to Quick. Quick is basically French Burger King. I don't even eat Burger King. At this point, I'm 20, so I had just become a vegetarian. So there's really nothing for me to eat here other than fries anyway. But also, we're not here to eat. We're here to get a drink. He was dead ass serious. So I'm like, this is where we're going. Because mind you, we meet at the metro stop, and he's like, yeah, let's walk to the spot. And he takes me to Quick. And I'm like, maybe he's going to use the bathroom or something. What's happening right now? No. So we go to Quick. We go to the counter. I'm lost. I'm looking around like, what is even happening? Mind you, I look cute. I'm a little dressed up. And we're at the counter. He's like, what do you want to drink? And I'm like, is this what he means by a drink? Now, if you live in France, Eliza, please, I know you're listening. please hit me up and let me know what grab a drink means in France. Because as an American, as someone from the States, grab a drink means let's go and get an alcoholic beverage. I don't even care where it is. It could be a corner store and we go get 40s. I don't care. But that's for me, grabbing a drink is getting an alcoholic beverage and sitting down and talking. So he's like, what do you want to drink? I don't drink soda. I've never liked soda. So I think I got a water. And he gets us a soda or something, like a Coke, whatever. So I remember we go downstairs. Remember like the old school Burger Kings? I don't know if these still exist, or just like old school fast food restaurants. If you're listening, if you're from the States, when there would be like a downstairs part, it was like that. So there's a downstairs, eating area. So we go downstairs. There aren't many people down there. We sit down at a booth. He's sitting across from me. So I'm like, cool. We're chatting, we're talking, cool. I get an opportunity to practice my French. I'm on a date in French. Okay, whatever. I make the best of it, right? He gets up to go use the bathroom. He comes back, and this time he comes back and he sits next to me. Now, mind you, when I go on a date, I actually do like sitting next to the person. I'm that person. I do not want to sit, if I'm into you, I do not want to sit across from you. Even my friends, I would rather they just sit next to me. Like, I love sitting next to people. I want to be able to touch you. I'm such a toucher. But he started off sitting across from me. He comes back from the bathroom. He sits next to me. So I'm like, okay. We're talking, and so I'm turned to like look at him mid conversation, like mid me speaking. This man attacks my face with his tongue. I don't know that his tongue even entered my mouth. His tongue licked all over my face. Oh my God. To this day, it was the worst. I can't even call it a kiss, honestly. I was called the worst interaction of mouths that I've ever experienced in my entire Black life. And so immediately I push him off of me, like, whoa. And I'm like, yo, you gotta slow down. And he said something that a lot of French men said to me during that time. He's like, well, you're in France now. Like, this is how we move quicker. And French men would say that to me all the time because they would want to move so quickly. And I'm like, yo, we've been sitting here for 5 minutes. And they're like, well, you're in France now, so you need to adjust. Ha ha. Have you met me? I do not need to do anything, first of all, especially from a man. Disgusting. And so I'm like, I don't care where we are. Back up. And so he's like, okay. So I think we continued the conversation. I'm pretty sure I like chugged that water and was like, all right, well, let's go. Like, this is dead. This is over. And so I remember he like walked me to the metro, and I think he wanted to accompany me home. Absolutely not. I'll add a little note about that at the end. So I think he wanted to like take the metro and like bring me home. I'm like, no, I got it. Thank you. Say bye to him. I think he tried to kiss me again. I dodged that shit and I left. So mind you, if you weren't paying attention, this internship, we both volunteer there. So I know I'm gonna have to see him again. Otherwise, I would never see him again in my life. So I see him again in the street one day. I'm walking, I had to see him in a minute. I remember I'm walking, I think from my internship toward the metro, and he just appears out of nowhere, and homie like says hi and then pushes me up against the wall and starts like kissing me. And mind you, other people are around, and I push him off like, yo, at this point, I don't think my French skills were at the level that I could cuss someone out. Like, now I think I could cuss someone out in French. Back then, I don't know if they were, so I think I just went off on him in English, like, what the fuck is wrong with you right now? So I like push him off, I dip the fuck out, go to the metro, and I'm obviously shook. I wasn't like, I wasn't in fear of my safety, but I was just like, what the fuck? And I think I saw him a few times after that. I think I may have even tried to chill with him again to like, because again, I was such a sweet little innocent young girl. I think I tried to explain to him how what he was doing was inappropriate, but I'm sure it didn't come across that way. I'm sure he didn't get anything that I was saying. So yeah, I've never seen him again. I hope he's well, but like, what the fuck? My little asterisk was there's a trend, or at least back then, there was a trend from when I was in France of men just pushing up on me. And particularly men of color, like African men. And they would tell me, because of my skin complexion, African French men, because again, they're from French colonies, and the countries that France colonized are usually they're darker skinned. And so they could look at me before I even spoke, they would know that I was either from a different African country, I was from the UK, or I was from the States. They always knew before I even opened my mouth. It actually got really annoying because I'm just like, yo, you didn't even hear me speak. And why did I say that? Oh, because yeah, so the men were just on me all the time. And I was also going on a lot of dates because I'm 20, I'm in Paris, the fuck? I'm going on all the dates. Anyone who asks, let's go. You're cute, let's do it. I get free food. Mind you, let me remind you, I had no money. So I'm getting free food, yes. So I would go on dates with men, and sometimes I would be like, all right, I'm off this, like, absolutely not. And they would try to follow me home. And I'll be like, no. So I remember one day, mind you, I'm going through this all the time with men. They're always pushing up on me. They're following me home. And I had a security guard in my building, at my nasty ass building that I lived in. It was so gross. Oh my God, it's so crazy that I even let that slide. I was young, I didn't know. But if this were me now, I would have cussed my college out for even placing us somewhere like that. Absolutely not. And me placing me there, I was the only one who lived there as the only black student representing Goucher. Yeah, anyway. There was a security guard. He was an older man. He was African. I'm not sure where he was from. He's probably like maybe in his 40s, his 50s. Like, to me, he was my dad, And I remember I even went to him one day and I was like, yo, I need you to just watch out for me. As I'm coming home, can you please just be aware of, because he would always be at the door ready to like unlock the door for when people came in. So I asked him, could you just be aware of my surroundings? Like, is anyone following me? You know what I mean? So he's like, absolutely, I got you. Tell me why. Mind you, I ended up moving out of this building to a much better and new one. This guy one night comes to my door trying to push up on me. And again, I was 20, I was a baby. And luckily, I've always carried myself a certain way. I've always been able to speak up for myself and pull a quick, absolutely the fuck not. So obviously I shut him down and was like, what is wrong with you? You're like 67 as far as I'm concerned. And not that that's old, but I'm 20. I cannot stress you enough. I'm a baby. And this older man that I went to protect me is now the one pushing up on me. Wild. Absolutely wild. But yeah, that's my story time of the day. The time that I went to grab a drink with a man in Paris on the Champs-Élysées, and he took me to French Burger King.